Hey everybody, and welcome back to the One Piece Book Club. That's right, your favorite eggheads are back for Volume 3. We're covering chapters 18 through 26 of One Piece. That's right, we're finishing the Orange Town arc, taking a little reprieve with my friend Gaimon, and then we're starting off the Syrup Village Usopp arc. So much to talk about today. This might be the most text we've had to read through. I mean, I think the Gaimon chapter might be double the length of a usual chapter, so we've got a lot to go through. I, of course, am Mumkey D. Jones, joined as always by the One Piece virgin himself, Eggy Eggman Rodriguez.
You know what they say about 30-year-old virgins? You become a wizard. But it is what it is. That just gives me more power, except must not be in my brain, because I think I lost some, but either way.
I do think I need to address a health issue I'm having today, folks. Before we get too deep into the podcast, I went to sleep last night, Eggy, at 1 o'clock a.m. At 3 a.m., I wake up. I sit up in bed. I sneeze 20 times in a row. Uh-oh. And I have not been able to sleep since then. So I'm running on fumes today, folks. You're going to see, I don't know if I'll be cranky or crazy or loopy, but I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. The One Piece must be reviewed, though, so this is my top priority. If I accidentally, in my loopy, sleep-deprived state, if I accidentally spoil that Gaimon is secretly Gold Roger, the Pirate King, in hiding, I apologize. I don't mean to spoil. If something like that happens, just ignore it. But I'll try to be on my best.
My greatest concern, I didn't think about it until the final panel when because I guess I thought maybe at some point throughout their meeting of Gaimon that maybe they would take him out of the chest. But as the final panel comes up and all the woodland creatures and Gaimon are waving Luffy, Nami, and Zoro off on their adventures, I'm like, what has he been doing for, like, the bathroom for 20 years? I mean, is it all just going in the chest? I mean, listen, I don't know. I probably watched the wrong stuff in life. Maybe you're a really sick person, even though I hate sickos more than I love One Piece, to be honest. But
well, do we ever see, like, the bottom of the chest? Maybe there's a hole where the shit and piss leaks out. But
okay.
I've been aware of this story for over 20 years, the Gaimon chapter. And I never once thought about how he shits and pisses. So it's good to have a One Piece virgin here to give me a new perspective on the great story.
Well, see, I'm also I'm claustrophobic, so anything with tight spaces, it just kind of makes me think a little extra, makes me really explore every angle. And so that's like, I really wanted them to break him out of the chest. I was like sitting there holding my breath for like half the chapter. I was like, that's how I am, but I guess...
he's on an island where everything is like a combination of two unrelated things, so, he really fits. He's half man, half chest.
That's true. Maybe it's like him and the wood they have a shared biological trait now that's... I don't know how wood...
Well, he said that
got sap.
he hasn't exercised, and his body has grown into the shape of the box. So he said, like, if you take me out, I think I'm just going to die.
Okay, that's pretty true. Yeah, atrophied. Yeah, there's probably some medical, fact check that makes sense here, but anyway.
Yeah, we'll get into all that, though. We do have to finish off with Buggy the Clown and Eggy as the One Piece virgin. I'm dying to know, what are your thoughts on this volume?
Well, it really threw me for a couple curves, I gotta say. I think it was really curveball after curveball. Every piece of it, actually. I knew last time what Buggy's devil fruit power is. So in the actual fighting of Buggy, nothing was particularly shocking about that. But we do learn, as we left off last time in the end of Volume 2, Buggy goes, I think that hat, the red-haired pirate, and there's that connection drawn. Now we explore that connection further here in Volume 3. Yes, Buggy and Shanks were, in fact, crewmates once upon a time, both apprentice pirates. So, I guess could have maybe thought that, but I think my first inclination was that they had just come face to face as fully developed pirates. So that was something a little different than what I had originally expected.
Yeah, they were always bickering and arguing, but there's kind of a friendship and brotherhood there. So yeah, to have Luffy's idol in Shanks at one time being like good friends with this horrible piece of shit who's like harassing innocent people. You really wonder like what happened to make them take such different paths in life from starting in the same place.
Yeah, maybe that childhood bullying for Buggy's medical condition. I don't know a significant amount about Shanks yet, just what we've been told so far. But, maybe he just grew up with that chip on his shoulder or chip on his giant nose, if you will. And he said, F the world, I'm doing what I want, and I'm going to be self-serving. And then we see that is his great folly that takes him down an inescapable path of where he's been led to. There's no turning back, because he hears about this treasure that was found on the ship that him and Shanks were both on, operating on as apprentice pirates, the devil fruit, which does not particularly concern him until Shanks mentions its value at possibly 100 million berries. And then Buggy says, there's no way I could let that go to waste. I'm about to swindle all these numbskulls.
Yeah, all my own crewmates. I'm going to trick and lie to all of them so I can take this treasure for myself and sell it.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention that treasure map as well. But
now, here's my question. So the reason why Buggy hates Shanks so much is that he thinks Shanks is responsible for him accidentally eating the devil fruits. Now he can't swim. And Buggy's under the impression that there's a lot of treasure on the ocean floor, and now that he can't swim, he cannot access it. Now, I don't understand this leap in logic here, because I'm a man who can swim, and I cannot retrieve treasure from the ocean floor. So I don't think swimming is something that could really help you do that. Like, if you're gonna somehow scavenge, below the sea, swimming's not really the option for you, whether you've eaten a fruit or not. Like, why doesn't he just send fucking the lion guy down there to get the fucking treasure?
I might not know too much about the relation of the oceans in One Piece compared to our own oceans on Earth, but if anybody could just swim down, retrieve something, and swim back to the surface, if they could swim, I think like half the people that are pirates would probably just be like, let's just go down and get everybody who died stuff, because it'd have to be like 20 feet deep.
They're gonna have to go 20,000 leagues under the sea, get some sort of nuclear submarine, but I don't see Buggy doing that. So he's right to pursue treasures that are available above the surface. I don't know, like, what pirates just want to fucking go under the ocean all day?
It kind of reminds me of, a little analogy here. I love this game. It's called World of Warcraft. I've been playing it for 20 years. Some people, they want to just go wander around in the forest and get the best gear that can drop from these single enemies. Some people, they want to band up and, go after the ultimate boss for the ultimate gear. So maybe the bottom of the sea stuff is, hey, it's me, myself, and I don't need to rely on anybody. I've never trusted or cared for anybody else. Middle finger up to everybody, and I'm just going to do my thing, go down to the bottom of the ocean, me, myself, and I, and just get it all. Don't have to split anything or argue or bicker or fight. So maybe there's an angle with that, considering his past.
He's so selfish that now he'd rather have nothing than share it. When we first see young Shanks and Buggy, they're arguing about what's colder, the North Pole or the South Pole. Eggy, would you like to weigh in? What do you think?
Well, one thing I know is that polar bears are on the North Pole and penguins are on the South Pole, I think it is. Or do they go together? Whatever it is, one of them only has one of them. So there's like, I'm going to say,
I think the penguins are at Antarctica.
Yep, so that's the South Pole. So
yeah.
I think the North Pole's cold. I mean, it's in the north. The South is in the south.
Santa lives there.
I never heard about, like Brazil being super cold. Well, but they have like south of the equator, which also I realized in this, the Grand Line is the equator. I'm not sure if that has any super relevance, but I thought that was something.
The Grand Line, as described by Nami in the Gaimon chapter, the Grand Line is like its own little like stretch of ocean, like its own. It's literally a straight line of ocean that just goes along the equator of the planet. So, how does water going that way not make it connect to the oceans right above and below it? We don't know. We'll get to that, I'm sure, someday. But I don't expect any new reader to have any comprehension of the world building in the Gaimon chapter at all. It is very confusing. Like, okay, we have the red line, which is it's like the perpendicular, I think is the word, to the equator. It's just like a red mountainous region that cuts the entire world in half, and then perpendicular to that is the Grand Line. So
something of a Bering Strait, you might say, like a land bridge.
Yeah, but it like cuts the oceans into two. She said that there's two great oceans, which later there's actually four, because the Grand Line's cutting it into fourths as well. But they said it was two here, so I guess for now there's only two oceans. There's something I wanted to talk about here. Okay. So people think that I'm a hashtag fake One Piece fan. They think, I jumped on board during COVID. Could not be further from the truth, folks. I was die-hard day one One Piece fan when it started airing on Toonami. I was there. I only stopped because they stopped, okay? After Alabasta arc, they just stopped airing the show. And I was 12 with no internet. It's not my fault I could not continue One Piece at that time. I had to take a 12-year hiatus. It is what it is. But I remember in fourth grade, I had volume 3, the one that we read today, in my locker at school. And our teacher, this old lady, she taught us a new vocab word. It was scallywag. And I was like, oh! What? Ah! And I got permission, ran out, got my One Piece book. I had to show it to her. But Buggy the Clown, he said scallywag. Look, it's the word. So in fourth grade, I did show my teacher One Piece because they said the word scallywag in it. That's my story.
Well, that reminds me of a relevant story. See, anime, the first time I started watching anime was the year 2001 because, I watched Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And everything, but the year 2001, that's when Adult Swim began airing, as I recall, and I started seeing something called Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, etc. Was really into Inuyasha, and then I figured out later it was supposed to be like an anime for women, so it is what it is.
That's not fair. I also once knew a woman who was obsessed with the Inuyasha, but I don't think it's only for women.
I just liked the feudal era and the time travel and the portal and the combat. I thought that was cool, but then once I got a little bit older, they're like, oh my goodness, I wish I had a lay hot anime boyfriend who would go through the ground when I say so. I wish I could control men like that. And I'm like, Anyway, so I used to print out pictures of from Inuyasha screenshots on my grandparents' printer, and I would stick them to my wall with this blue tack tape or whatever it was called. Anyway, somebody incorrectly thought that all anime was hentai, and they're Toby's putting up these white girls hentai porn. Look at, he's a freak.
Well, does Inuyasha get kind of sexual? I don't really know a whole lot about it. He's got a fang tooth, right? He's like a dog man. That's what Inu means, I think.
Yeah, there is a romantic component in the story as it develops. I don't know, I had there's 9 Inuyasha movies. I watched everything at one point, 150 episodes or something. I watched all of it at one point, but it's been, I'm sure, 10 years. And I stick to it. I like the combat, and I like the setting. That's what I like. Are we going to do,
after One Piece ends, we'll do the Inuyasha Virgins, and we'll go through the whole thing manga by manga. I'm down.
Yeah, I never did read the manga. I'm a pure audio-visual enjoyer, so I would be interested. Well, maybe some freaky stuff goes on in the manga. Maybe that's where it came from.
Somebody remind us in 3 years when we catch up to One Piece that we got to read Inuyasha. Okay. What else did I have for these? The flashback with Shanks and okay. It looks like that's about it. We get some dodging, Luffy and Buggy are using their abilities to dodge each other's attacks pretty good, but things go south for Buggy when he gets distracted by Nami stealing his treasure, and Luffy kicks him in the nuts. Were you expecting that? When I asked you last week, how do you think Luffy will stop Buggy? This is what I had in mind, is him kicking him in the nuts.
Well, I actually had to go, because I read... The way I read manga is I basically piece it together as a anime storyboard in my mind. So like I voice the characters and I'm basically like taking each piece and I'm kind of like animating it as I go. Like that's how I enjoy it. And I had to stop and I'm kind of like looking close at the I'm like, oh, like where's his leg? Oh yeah, it's in there. And then I scroll down and he's like and I'm like, okay. Yeah, but he says, "Oh, you're attacking my lower half," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, yeah, that's not a lie. It could have maybe been a different translation in there, or maybe."
Yeah, and it's kind of a unique premise of like I'm harming this guy's feet way over here, and it's hurting him way over there. Like, what other story has a guy who chops himself up into pieces and can still feel each individual body part from however far away? So that was fun. And Luffy's tickling his feet and stuff. I guess only his feet cannot float around in the air.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was just gonna, because he starts off with the tickling. I thought, is that how he's gonna completely subdue him? And then the next panel, then he's like crushing his foot. So I'm like, okay, it's going different ways about it. But hey, you can't attack the same vector. You gotta try different things, see what's really gonna bring the submission.
And what I found interesting and that I didn't really pick up on before is that this is not an all-out one-on-one Luffy victory. This is a co-op fight. Like Luffy and Nami are both throwing, attacks on him, and if not for Nami's thievery skills to take all of Buggy's loose body parts and tie them up so that he's just Midget Man with nothing but a head and feet so Luffy can bazooka him into who knows fucking where, Team Rocket blasting off. And I was thinking about how last volume, Luffy thought it was really important that Zoro's pirate duel stay, between one-on-one. Like, this is a duel, do not interfere. But then when he's fighting Buggy, he's perfectly fine with Nami's interference. Does he just not have the swordsman's pride here? What do you think?
Well, I think he was just driven into such a fury for the fact that once Buggy realizes how much value that Luffy puts into the straw hat and he seeks to damage and just that's like his main target, that infuriates Luffy so much. I think like his mental process of, oh, well, that should be honorable, whatever. I think it kind of gets put to the side. Just he has a complete and total tunnel vision on defeating Buggy and getting him out of there by any means necessary.
Yeah, what was your thought on that? Because the Luffy we've seen as an adult, he's always happy-go-lucky, he's always smiling, he doesn't take anything seriously. So when his hat first just gets slightly nicked and his eyes are completely black, like he's blinded by rage and he's losing it, is this like his Super Saiyan, I'm losing my mind, super aggressive, angry moment? How do you feel about, like, this is the only thing that gets to Luffy? He was literally, like, gonna drown in a whirlpool, and he kept laughing, but his hat gets a little nick, and he's furious.
Well, as Shanks, I think we said first volume, and we do get a flashback here, he was like, I need you to, if one thing you do for me, Luffy, protect this hat, and I want to get it back from you when we meet up, when you're older, when you're grown, when you're a pirate, whatever.
A great pirate, he said.
Great pirate. So
did you, I think, when Buggy stabs 3 knives through the hat, did you just like wince in pain yourself? You felt Luffy's pain there?
Well, my actual first thought was like, I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't remember seeing because this could be like something that's a real defining moment, and I think it still is for the context of everything about how we see Luffy develop in this way and we see him react in this way. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, I've seen a lot of the Straw Hat stuff. I don't remember seeing 3 slashes in it anywhere else. So something probably is going to change, or something's gonna happen here. I was wondering, is it gonna like be magically repaired, or is there gonna be like maybe one of the evil pirates switched his hat out and here's the real one, but as it turns out, Nami just patches it back up. So,
and like 550 chapters from now, there's a close-up of the straw hat and you can see like the seam of where she sewed it up. So it is like a permanent damage. It's permanently scarred, and I like that attention to detail. Spoiler alert that you see stitches on a hat in chapter 598. But what else from Orange Town here? Buggy gets blasted away. Oh yeah, the townspeople, they say, you know what? The mayor's missing. We need to stand up and fight back. Let's do it. And what I really love about this is Luffy cannot lie. Exact opposite of Usopp. Luffy cannot lie. And he's not even willing to tell the truth. Like the whole truth. He'll just tell, like, instead of a white lie, he'll tell the white truth. Say, yeah, I knocked out the mayor. Yeah, we're pirates. Sure. Like he's the savior of the city. He defeated the evil people, but he does not want them to know that. He does not care about being the hero. He laughs in the face of being the villain. He wants them to chase them away because he thinks it's funny. Is this, have you ever read a story like this where the main character would rather be seen as like a villain?
Well, it's not something totally unfamiliar to me, but I could not place exactly where I've seen this behavior before. Maybe, what was that Will Smith movie where he's the drunken superhero? Where
Hancock?
Like, yeah, I think maybe there was parts of that where he was like just willing to accept being seen as a drunken bum that like crashes people's cars occasionally for like doing the greater good. But it's been a long time since I've seen that. So I'm not totally unfamiliar with that kind of concept, but yeah, I just think it's so funny after this, really raw and just, you did this to my hat, and he's got this like raw forward emotion. And then like, once all the dust settles, they're like, yeah, look what you've done. Yeah. As you were saying, just, knocked out the mayor. Yep.
He'll tell a little bit of the truth, but not the whole truth.
Does not need to explain himself. And he even says, as they're heading off towards the ship, and Chocho or Chow Chow, the dog, he knows the truth, so he kind of fends off the townspeople and start getting
so beautiful.
Chow Chow, get out of the way.
Such an amazing moment when Chow Chow is protecting them. I loved it.
And Luffy's just like, they're gonna feel how they feel. It is what it is, Pirate Tube, and they're all heading back to the ships with Buggy's sail on it, and just say, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then the mayor comes too, and he says, get out of my way. He literally like pops out of his makeshift armor. He runs, chases down Luffy, and he says, you know what, I was reckless, I was gonna die, and you're the great savior, you saved us. And then as they're waving off, and the realization that they left behind about 500,000 berries worth of treasure, and Nami immediately starts seething, and they're like, oh well, their town's got hit by these buggy balls, they need some reconstruction money, so we're gonna help them out.
Yeah, it's Luffy, such a compassionate, kind guy, not greedy at all. And we know Nami, she said she only cares about money and tangerines. So yeah, she's pissed, but then we do see one panel of her like laughing afterwards. So maybe she has a little bit of compassion for these townspeople as well.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on the Orange Town arc before we put it on our arc tier list?
No, I think that's about the long and short of it, I think.
I'm gonna you have to go first. I forgot. We gotta have you put it on the list. You put the original arc at a B, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And then I had, I can't remember where I put the Captain Morgan and.
That was all part of the first.
It's all together. So this is.
So 8 through 21 is Orange Town.
Okay. It was good. It was pretty good. I gotta say, I think we
had the Chow Chow backstory, which you said brought tears to your eyes. We had amazing illustrations of a lion before it got pile driven into the ground. Got some backstory with Buggy and Shanks. There's a lot to pick on here and enjoy.
I don't want to be a straight B student right now, without more context and everything as well. But C just feels too low, though. I feel like it really was a very solid offering, and I enjoyed all of it. I feel like everything really kind of came together. There wasn't really any weak parts. So my first thought would probably be a B again. Everything's gonna be B, hopefully not, but
well, I gave Romance Dawn a C, and I think Orange Town is a little bit better. I'm putting it in B tier as well, Eggy, and I think what elevates it for me is the emotional impact of the Chow Chow stuff. Like, there's nothing really in Volume 1 that is gonna choke you up or make you cry. But I've been through Chow Chow's story fucking 20 times now in my life, and it's always good. Like, watching that lion and that dog, fight each other, it's just beautiful. So yeah, it's elevated to a B for me, and I love Buggy the Clown, so there's a lot to enjoy here.
Right, and then also with the emotional thing, I definitely felt when the mayor just kind of goes like berserk, and he's like, I'm ready to lose it all, like completely hopeless. There's absolutely no way he'd ever survive, but he'd rather stand on his feet as a soldier than on his knees as a coward, and he just runs right in no matter what. And then a little bit of the not super emotional, but the backstory between Buggy and Shanks, and kind of gives us a little more context there, which I appreciate, a little more insight as a new reader about a little bit of the history there. So.
And on Mayor Boodle, I think he's a good example of proper leadership, because even though he's not strong, even though he personally could not stop the pirates, his bravery and tenacity inspired all of the townspeople to follow suit and to go fight their battle. So, that's what a good leader should do. Even if you're not strong, you should inspire your people and be willing to die for what you believe in. So shout out Mayor Boodle, shout out Chow Chow. And some top tier characters. Maybe like when we get to chapter 100, we'll do a character tier list of everybody we've met so far.
Sounds good to me.
Should we dive into it? I imagine we spent 26 minutes talking about Orangetown. I think we'll spend another 26 talking just about the Gaimon chapter, but maybe we'll try not to. But as far as individual chapters, this is my favorite one so far out of all 3 books.
Yeah, it's a nice reprieve as a new reader, throughout the volume. It was a nice quirky thing, and really, not a single molecule of waste in this chapter. Everything from top to bottom, because it fits the entire story completely into this one chapter. It's just packed from top to bottom with all kinds of interesting oddities and a real heart-string pulling story as well. So with this being your favorite chapter, I'll let you go ahead and give our viewers the introduction.
Well, I'm sure, if they're here, they've probably read it. We probably don't have to recap it too much, but I want to ask you, what was your thought of Luffy asking Gaimon to join the crew? Did you, even for 1 second, think that this was going to happen?
I could have possibly considered that he was a something of an off character, like maybe he would just like hang out on the ship or something. Maybe he was playing defense, like they wouldn't
Kobe
suspect.
mode, like join up for a little bit and leave.
He could pop out of the chest on Clint Eastwood style, fan the revolver. Yeah, he got them skills. He was able to. This was an interesting part for me that I stuck out. So it's the Trial of the Forest. I believe is the title of the chapter. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's I think it is. Anyway, they come up on this island. There's these strange hybrid creatures. They're like half pig, half lion, half snake, half
not
rabbit.
even half. And this is one of my favorite running gags with Luffy, is that he'll notice a small detail and make it much bigger. So he's holding up a snake that has bunny ears and says, "Look at this weird rabbit." I'm like, you're looking at the wrong part, I think. And like later on, there's like banana gators. It's like a 30-yard big alligator, and like its chin's like in the shape of a banana, and he's like, "What's wrong with those bananas?" So that's another spoiler alert. But
the depiction of that snake rabbit was also very like it just looks so menacing. It just looks like it's not like some little like 2 beady eyes and a little tongue. It's like, yeah.
And it looked like he was fuzzy as well, so maybe that helped confuse Luffy.
True.
And then there's a pig with just a lion's mane, and he thinks it's a lion.
That's just a neckbeard pig, shout out to me.
Yes. That's your spirit animal, is the lion pig.
But as they come up and they're greeted with this booming voice saying that they have to pass the Trial of the Forest, Luffy doesn't really pay much mind to that, and he gets shot. And the angle that this bullet hitting him is how it depicts it. He's being shot from the back, so it all of a sudden he's got this very like sharp jutting angle out of his chest. My first thought was like, oh, is that like somebody's threw a blade, he's about to get stabbed, or like because it looks very angular is how it's depicted. But once I realized that he was just shot, I'm like, okay, oh, he's just shot. He's okay then.
Yeah,
but
yeah, Luffy's fine with getting shot. It just scares
that's
him a
when
little
the
bit.
strange afro coming out of a chest draws up their attention. Like, hey, why is that talking afro next to that smoking pistol laying on the ground?
Mm-hmm. I guess to elaborate on my upcoming thoughts, I should do a brief summary of what's going on here. So yeah, he's alone on this island for 20 years, and he's protecting it because he found some treasure chests up on the cliff, and he wants it all for himself. A little bit of Buggy action here, folks. And he also fell into a chest, and he's trapped in it, and has become a freak. But Luffy goes up there to get the treasure for him, and the chests are empty. He spent 20 years waiting to see what this treasure was, and it was nothing. And I've always been under the impression that this chapter is a metaphor for the entirety of the story, and that Gaimon is us as the reader. Because if you're picking up this volume in 1998 when it came out, as far as Oda was concerned, maybe the readers were going to have to wait 20 years to find out what the One Piece is. More realistically, it's going to be about 30 years. So we're going to have to wait even longer than Gaimon did. And my question is this chapter Oda's way of telling us the treasure's not going to be what you think it is? You know, you're going to wait a long time, and maybe it's going to be empty. Is the treasure the strange animals we made along the way? That's what Gaimon seems to feel at the end. That the friends he made's more important than the treasure. Is this a bad sign? Is the story gonna be the One Piece is the friends we made along the way, Eggy?
Well, I mean, without having 1,100 chapters invested yet, I feel like I don't feel bad about that right now. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. If that's from my very minute perspective, I think that would be satisfactory. I think about 1,000 chapters from now, after a lot of things happen, I might not feel so so much. But at the same time, I'm sure even if the One Piece is just like one piece of gum or whatever, you know, not to be derivative there, but whatever it might be, I'm sure that the exposition around finding this garbage will actually be very fulfilling in its own right. I'm going to trust the plan on that one. But I think that is a good analogy, and I had not whatsoever contemplated that until you've mentioned it just now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it almost feels like a warning of you're going to wait 20 years and you're not going to get what you expect.
Which could be good, though. Maybe it's even better than you expect. I mean, maybe...
Well, yeah, Gaimon, his life is enriched. He didn't want to leave the island. Like, he found a new life, and he made new friends, and he has a purpose protecting those animals. Yeah. That's more valuable than any golden treasure could be.
If that crew was willing to just not notice he was left on the island, they probably would have just not noticed many things happening to him, and he probably would have been dead. So that's pretty true.
Any other thoughts on the Gaimon chapter? And it is technically considered part of the Usopp arc, but if I was going to rank it as its own arc as one chapter, I mean, this is, A or S tier for me. I love this chapter.
Yeah, it definitely, like I said, it's very dense. It's just top to bottom. Everything's put into one chapter, and for that in and of itself, I'm not sure how often that happens, but I'll definitely give it a solid thumbs up, upvote, stamp. Maybe I should get a thumbs up stamp. I could stamp things like on my webcam.
And you permanently ruin it. In the anime, the Gaimon episode happens actually after Syrup Village. They don't put it after Buggy, and I don't know why. Maybe they thought, oh, we got to get to Usopp sooner. The kids are gonna love Usopp. We'll do Gaimon later. We can't waste one episode on that right now. So yeah, I don't know why they made that choice, but is that it for the Gaimon chapter? I think we covered it.
I think so.
All right, let's move into Syrup Village. We've got a good 4 or 5 chapters to start off this new arc. And we meet Usopp, and I don't think it's any secret to you or anybody at home that Usopp is my favorite One Piece character, Eggy, but that doesn't mean you have to like him. And to be quite honest, most people, when they are reading this arc, they don't like Usopp starting off, so I'm curious where you land.
Well, I get a bit of that, the trickster energy there. I think maybe just the first, like, absolute initial beginning of chapter 23. Yep, I think so, yeah. I didn't take notes, so I'm just going off memory here. Yeah, just like drawing the ire of the village with his proclamation, rather, of pirates invading. They're all just so fed up with it. They're over it. They're like, I mean, it's kind of like it's just a prank, bro, kind of energy. And I kind of feel where the village is coming up from to start off with.
Oh yeah, the villagers are in the right. Like, this motherfucker, like the boy who cried wolf every fucking morning about pirates. I'd be fucking pissed too.
Yeah, and not a bad alarm clock, though, if maybe you can get in the spirit, but then...
that one guy's like, oh, Usopp's doing his daily ritual, I guess I better get to work. Like, some of them, they just accepted it as part of their daily ritual.
And still gets them fired up. They're still taking out the pitchforks and torches and chasing them around, so,
yes.
Maybe it's like a nice little village ritual. I mean, see, nowadays we got old people that go to walk around, they do laps around the mall. Wouldn't they be more excited to be told that there was like a terrorist attack happening or something, and then they could run around? Yeah,
and chase the town liar around with a pitchfork.
Yeah, get them a little more lively. So, but after that, then we meet up with Usopp's crew, Carrot, Pepper, and Onion, the three young, feisty boys out of the village that are ready to serve Captain Usopp as his loyal pirate crew. And then we see, or at least I saw then the more tender side of Usopp, that he was, humoring. I mean, he's definitely got a past, as we see, as we will learn, a pirate heritage. So maybe humoring is not the right word, but he's willing to, give these young boys a sense of purpose almost, and kind of be there for them and get them kind of getting their imaginations going. Maybe make them think of becoming something greater than just village people.
And something that Oda likes to do in the story is take something that is bad and make it good in a certain context. So, lying to everybody all day, every day, probably not a good thing. But Usopp lies to this girl who's sick in her bed, and it cheers her up and makes her day every time. So, in a certain context, lying is a noble thing to do. And, I like that. I like this theme of, hey, pirates, they might be bad, but in a certain context, hey, pirates can be good. And we get things like this throughout the entire story of devils are heroes, and, lots of reversals of expectations, really.
Right. So in the same way that he can stoke the imagination of these young boys to kind of get them thinking of greater things, he's also able to give her this reprieve from her serious illness I guess when they say bedridden, I don't know if that was like, did they mention if it was something like inherent, if there was an inherent illness, or I guess we'll learn that her close butler friend is not who she thinks, so maybe he could also be making her sick. There's something he could be doing, the way he prepares her food and all that, or that he at least delivers the food, something could be there. I have not read forward, so this is just speculation, knowing what I know in this volume. But yes, his ability to craft these fanciful ideas, having that greater healing property or greater positive. I'm rambling a little bit, but you get the idea, though.
So Clawhador, I guess I don't specifically remember, but he does claim to be a pacifist, and he does claim he did not kill Kaya's parents, and that they, I guess, died of natural causes at the same time within the last 3 years. Who knows about that? So if he's poisoning her, I feel like that would maybe go a little bit against his claims he makes to Django, but who knows? I mean, he's probably going to end up fighting Luffy anyway, so how much of a pacifist can he be? What do you think of this plan? Clawhador, who's really Captain Kuro, he says, I don't know about this plundering shit. I want to be a pacifist. I'm going to go undercover for 3 years as a butler to earn the trust of this girl, so that my vice captain, who's a hypnotist, can hypnotize her into signing a will over to me. This seems, I mean, convoluted or not, 3 years is a long fucking investment for this. You could have done this in 3 months. Like, if you're just gonna hypnotize her anyway, at this point, she trusts and loves you so much, she would probably write you in the will anyway. You don't need the hypnotist. But, why the fuck did he waste 3 years on this? That's my question.
Well, so he says he was basically washed up on shore. So I wonder if he had absolutely nothing, he might have needed some time. Well, once again, 3 years being a long time, but it was?
Yeah, like the whole plan was, hey, my crew, drop me off here. I'm gonna go undercover and come back in 3 years for me, and then we'll kill these people.
Okay, yeah, well, I might have. Well, I knew they were waiting off to the side, and I guess they would have needed to know that he was there and met up with them at some point. So I guess that does make more sense now that you mentioned it. You did
read through chapter 26, right? When Luffy falls off the cliff.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So I was
thinking to myself, like, maybe. Well, when he first mentions it, I kind of just took it unquestioningly, and then. But yeah, I guess it adds up now.
And
I don't know how else I would have known he was there.
The bastard that he is, hey, certain people in the world, they accuse others of what they themselves are guilty of. Not going to point any fingers at any Benjamin Netanyahus or anything, but...
Well, speaking of people who, go into a country and maybe wait a few decades or something, but either way.
Yeah, so when Klahador's like, oh, Usopp, I know you. You're trying to get close to Kaya just to get her money. Like, he's straight up just admitting, like, what he himself is doing. Fucking bastard. And when Luffy and Usopp overhear the plan... Kuro, Klahadore, does not give a fuck because he knows nobody will believe Usopp, and he's like just known as the soft-spoken butler to Kaya, so who's gonna believe any of this? And it ends with Usopp crying out to the villagers, and they don't seem to be believing him, and we don't really get a resolution in this volume. How do you think the villagers will ultimately react to this news?
Well, I mean, he did say that he's really serious this time. He said, all those other times, every single morning since as long as you can remember has all been a lie, but this time it's definitely for real. And they just basically say, do you want this pitchfork in your face? Fuck off.
The boy who cried wolf, brought to life. And also, Usopp, his name comes from Aesop's Fables. So... if you wanted to know the etymology of that one. We find out that Usopp's dad, who's a pirate who abandoned him as a child or as a baby or whatever, who I guess Usopp might not have even met before, was on Shanks' crew. Luffy knows him. What was your reaction to this news?
Well,
what a small world.
Yeah, I was a little shocked, to be honest. And I guess it was good that... it was K-Sop, is that correct, as I recall? The father's name?
Yasop.
Yasop, okay. Yeah, he was just like, oh, I got a son about your age, and I'll tell you 1,000 times if I have to, because, I miss the boy so much, and so that probably helped.
Meanwhile, he's like 3 islands away from him, like literally, does not think, hey, Shanks, can we go visit my son? So, Yasop might be proud of his son, who he never sees and doesn't know anything about, but I think this is bullshit. Yasop's a dog shit father. Like, you were so close. Like, Orangetown, Syrup Village. There you go. Your son is so fucking close to you. Doesn't even bother.
I'm thinking it might be a boy named Sue kind of situation. He's like, I can't be back and forth because maybe that'll mess him up too. So let me just, he's got to just figure out his own way in the world.
Toughen up on his own, yep.
Yep.
And we don't know where Usopp's mom is, do we?
I don't believe it was mentioned at all in this volume. I don't know if it will be in any further volumes.
Well, we'll have to see about that. Any thoughts on Django the Hypnotist? And would you like to guess which 2 musicians this character is designed and based on?
Well, when I read in that the children saw a man walking backwards towards the village.
Might be moonwalking a little bit.
Yep. As soon as he came into frame, I said, hee, hee, hee.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that all of the One Piece abridged YouTube channels might do a Michael Jackson voice for this character?
Well, I've never seen a single episode of One Piece abridged, and I probably can't for a little while because it's probably going to abridge too much, and I'm going to get spoiled if I watch more than one episode.
I don't think there's a good one. Like I think Purple Eyes WTF, he did like 12 episodes that were decent, but like I don't know if anybody's actually done a consistent long one that's still ongoing.
Nobody could ever match the glory of DBZA.
Well, yeah. Of course.
I mean, or Yu-Gi-Oh for that matter, but yeah.
Should we do our own One Piece abridged? We could just do all the voices.
Well, I think we've got the skill set. You've got the knowledge built already. I'm building my knowledge.
Yeah. I think you could play a good Zoro.
In the comments below, if you want to hear it. Well, I think Zoro might sound a little bit something like this, perchance.
A little gravelly, a little tough. Is that all from these 4 chapters of Syrup Village? Is there really anything else to dive into here? I mean, I have a few complaints, but I want to hear more of your good thoughts before I dive into those.
Well, I definitely did not see the twist coming at all whatsoever. As I mentioned towards the beginning of this episode, curveballs between, we talked about Orange Town, but then when we go to Gaimon and the empty chests, that was a curve. When we go now to the village here, and the fact that the butler, he just seems such on the up and up. He seemed like such a fine, dignified man. And who's this hypnotist? I'm thinking he's just some goof. First time seeing him, I'm like, okay, this guy's goofy. He's putting himself to sleep with his hypnotism. He's probably just going to try and come shake a couple dollars out of the village for his silly magic tricks.
I forgot to answer the riddle of which 2 people he's based on. Of course, Michael Jackson's one, but his design is also based on Steven Tyler of Aerosmith.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gotten that. The only thing I know about Steven Tyler is that he was a little bit of a sicko, I hear. But
a lot of it, I think. But I really appreciate that Oda, his influences and inspirations are global. So like a lot of American media influence in One Piece. Eventually there's a whole arc that's like based off of Disney properties. So I really like it that he's well read, he loves American movies, and he plugs all this shit into One Piece.
I do concur. I didn't know about the Disney arc. That's going to be interesting.
We'll get to that in about 2 years. Yeah, that's later on.
But
spoiler alert.
And also I enjoyed the fact that when Captain Kuro and Django are speaking of their plan, Luffy just stands up and goes like, "Hey, what? You're not going to do that." And then he gets hypnotized, falls down, gets knocked out, and then Usopp's
they think he's dead. Ah! Yeah.
He just runs off, and I also like how Nami and Zoro just like, oh, I wonder where Luffy's at. This guy's just like running off. Well, whatever, And then Luffy's just sitting there, and they're just like basically down at the beach, like.
And the plan is tomorrow at dawn. Pirate crew is gonna come and slaughter the villagers, baby. Which, if the whole point of the deed or whatever, like having her write her will, is to convince all the villagers that it was authentic and he's not a pirate. Who is this for? You're killing everybody. Who is this for? Like, you're gonna live in this mansion on an island full of corpses now? What? I don't understand this plan at all, but maybe it'll get elaborated on. Do you have any predictions now that we're at the end of the episode? What do you think we will see next time?
Well, my first prediction, my thought was, I think Luffy is going to stay unconscious for an uncomfortable amount of time. I think that, kind
of like Goku, like you got to have the strongest guy out of the fight for a long time, and then he can come in and save the day.
That was my first thought as I approached the end of the chapter 26 there. I could be wrong, but I don't know how strong Kuro and his crew are. That, I don't know how much Zoro could take. I know he was injured. He's been recovering. I'm not sure where he's at for his strength as far as him being recovered. So maybe it won't get that far. Maybe Luffy will kind of meet the pirates, the crew as they come about. But that's just my knee-jerk reaction was that it's going to be tense. I'm sure there's going to be, when the grand reveal happens, then Kaya is going to be like, oh, that's probably going to be something. She's going to have to get some information out of him. Why'd you do it? And maybe he said he didn't kill her parents, but maybe we're going to get something else figured out.
Do you think if Usopp tells Kaya about this after their altercation, he's punching Clawdor in the face and all this, is Kaya going to believe Usopp?
Well, I think if she, sees that, because we're going to need her hypnotized, I guess, to sign the will if this all goes as they plan it to. Maybe she'll stay hypnotized. Maybe she'll be under the control of Captain Kuro because the hypnotist will be on her side. Yeah, maybe she'll maybe he'll have her walk off a cliff or something. I don't know. I think the hypnotist angle could also really go somewhere. Yeah, maybe even that could be maybe the hypnotist was able to get Luffy. Maybe he'll get Zoro and Nami too. Maybe he'll put them all out, and then maybe that'll be how the pirates start taking over, and then they all come to their senses. Maybe the kids, Carrot, Pepper, and Onion, are like running away from a burning building, and then go snap them out of it.
Do you think that the hypnotism is based on a devil fruit, or it's just like in real life how hypnotists are real?
Well, I don't know if I'm not sure if hypnotism. I mean, I know it's real.
It only works on stupid people.
Well, they say hypnotism can also like sound frequencies, like pop music is like in the 430 whatever frequency, and like they have like they're all have that consistent like drum pattern because it's supposed to be like the doom doom. That's supposed to be like an audio hypnotism. So I think there's definitely hypnotic things. I don't believe, from what I've seen in these couple of chapters, that Django has some sort of devil fruit hypnotism. I don't think he would have put himself to sleep doing it.
Well, last time Luffy fought a pirate captain, Buggy had a fruit. Do we think Kuro will have a fruit? And, like all the pirate captains will have a devil fruit for Luffy to fight?
I would think that Kuro does not have one. I'm sure he wouldn't have presented it yet if he had, but nothing particularly has inclined me or given me the inclination in these last couple chapters that he has one, though. But I could see that being a running theme, but then it's like, how much devil fruit is there? Is there like a big old devil tree somewhere that's just popping them off? Because I wouldn't know. Yeah,
and a lot of people, at least in this part of the ocean, seem to not even believe that they exist. Like Nami was shocked that they were real. So at least in this area, they seem to be kind of rare.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure once the grand line comes about, if they're worth so much money, people probably are angling to get some. Yeah, mm-hmm. But then again, if it's worth that much, why eat it? If you're a pirate, you want money, but I mean,
especially if some of those. Like all it did is turn me rubber. Like, I could have used $100,000 or $100 million instead of being rubber. But Eggy, I think we have finished Volume 3. Do we have any final thoughts on what a journey we went on? We beat the shit out of Buggy. We learned about the greatest character in One Piece history, Gaimon, and now Usopp. He's been crying wolf, and now the wolves are coming.
Well, originally I had miscalculated. I thought that chapter 25 was the end of volume 3, and I thought that was a significant cliffhanger because that's like at the end of that, it's like he's just
Operation Murder Kaya.
Yeah, that's the last line. And I was like, wow. And well, to be honest, chapter 26 didn't quell my fears too much. But I was like, cause I was anticipating as I came towards the bottom for the cliffhanger, but that was like, I was like, whoa, that's pretty bold. But just like last week, I'm just on the edge of my seat. What's going to happen, and it just makes me anticipate it all the more. That's basically where I'm at now. It was a great chapter. It had a lot going for it. Really enjoyed it, and I'm just waiting for more.
Well, Eggy's on the edge of his seat. I'm about to be on the edge of my bed. It might be 2:30 p.m., but it's bedtime for me, folks. Hopefully I can catch up before Big Brother starts tonight.
Yeah, you know what? If you want to nap a little bit more, I'm probably about to go on a gamer sesh, so you know what? Just shoot me a line.
Are you going to stream? Or are you just going to play?
Yeah.
You streaming?
Yeah, I'm going to do a few hours.
Well, let everybody know that Friday mornings on Mumkey D. Jones' channel, this podcast, they'll start coming out. We recorded these first 3 before any of them have come out, but episode 1's coming out on Friday morning, which you guys will know because it happened like 2 weeks ago for you. So I'm excited for people to finally see this and to join us on our One Piece journey.
Yep, I'll make sure to plug it into everybody's eyes and ears.
See you next week, everybody.
Peace.